joy, joy, joy down in my heart. Down in my heart, down in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Sing it. Down in my heart to stay. I've got the peace that passes understanding down in my heart. Down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the peace that passes understanding down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. I've got the life and love of God within me down in my heart. Down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the life and love of God within me down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart, down in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Welcome everyone to Center for Spiritual Living in Carlsbad. I'm Reverend Maureen Bishop, and I have a little setback this week. I got the new booster and seem to have lost my voice in the process. But thank you all who did prayer treatment for me. I'm feeling much better. So thanks. I'm glad to be here. So I just want you all to know, especially our newcomers here, that we are open, receptive, welcoming of all people, all faiths, all paths to God. And we strive to assist individuals in their own evolutionary awakening process. So we're here today because we understand there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. Yes. The mission of the center is to teach, demonstrate, and inspire a positive spiritual approach to living. So I'd like to invite Margie to come up front and light our candles. Okay, Margie. So we light these candles, these flames of faith, as a simple way to remind ourselves of the divinity and the underlying spiritual unity of all people everywhere. So the first, we light the candle for the Tao, honoring the path of harmony and equilibrium. The second, we light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Third, we light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. Fourth, we light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam. Oh, we light the candle for Christianity. Honoring the path of love, and then we light the candle for Islam. Yes. Honoring the path of recognizing Allah as the great creator and sustainer of life. And finally, I invite you to take a breath and a moment. Recognize the inner light that is always shining within you as we honor all forms of new thought, the metaphysical path of wholeness, oneness, and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Thank you, Margie.
Thank you.
If this is your first visit to the center, we want to extend a special welcome to you, and please sign our guest book out in the lobby and pick up a welcome packet, and be sure to join us for fellowship afterwards. and meet a few people, and feel free to ask any questions you have. At the welcome table, you can fill out a prayer treatment request form and put it in the prayer box. And we, the practitioners and ministers, are honored to treat for you this week. We're blessed with a wonderful prayer team. And spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer is our gift to you on Sundays. You can speak to one of us and practitioners afterwards. Let's see, practitioners and ministers, you want to stand or just wave? And they are here for you, so take advantage of them. And would you silence or stun your cell phones?
Airplane mode.
Just to let you know, masks are still very welcome. And let's try to remember, don't run up and hug somebody unless you really have permission to do that. So thanks. We want everybody to feel comfortable and at home. Don't forget the parking lot, it gets locked up. If you go out to lunch with someone, move your car outside. It's happened before. So this week, I just want to say a special thank you. Look at these beautiful flowers from our band. You know what this is? This is wheat. I've never seen that. That's amazing. Anyway, thank you, Margie, for the refreshments.
Yeah.
Thank you for being our greeter. Again, Margie, for lighting the candles. Morgan will be doing the reading. And I want to thank Larry for doing the video. Thank you, Larry, which will be on Facebook later. And as always, they're not here right now, they're outside. Larry, Jan and Angel. We want to thank them for what they do to help. So I'm looking for volunteers for next week. The sign-up sheet is out there on the left. And, we're a spiritual family. And so we have fun helping each other and giving and receiving. So I remind you that we're continuing our used book sale, and the used books, it's a form of a fundraiser, basically, but also to put more books into circulation. So Jan has set it up so there you can see the little stickers on them that are discounted. Thanks. So please think about going through your own books and bring in a few of the old ones, because it'll be new to somebody else. Today, we are in week 3 of our 6 weeks class on spiritual economics. So I just want to invite anyone who would like to come and just listen. That's fine. We're going to be talking about many assets of prosperity. Also want to mention we're doing an unscheduled income, agreeing to tithe 10% of any unscheduled income you get for the next month, I think month and a half. And we're also going to do what we call a little prosperity or gratitude. We're going to be starting today, doing some gratitude, writing down what we're grateful for until Thanksgiving. So if you haven't signed up, there's a sign-up sheet out there, and it's next to a multicolored box. This was originally used by Dr. Jane Claypool, the founder, and sign up if you want us to pray for you, because we are praying for everyone on the list every day. And this book just let you know, it's a mind changer. It's consciousness changing. So please join us if you like to. So let's look at our group reading, which is in your program. Let's say this together. God is also visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect abundance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am everyone who is perfect life, perfect love,
and perfect abundance.
Okay, now we have another group song. Richard is going to play.
I release.
That's my favorite.
And I don't know how many of you folks know Al Neville's, but he used to do this verse. I release. There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you've got to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. One more time. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. And now it's time for our reading. So I'd like to invite Morgan.
Yay.
It'll pick you up more.
A bit of levity here. Today's reading is from Divine Science Minister Dr. Martha Dawson, who is one of the teachers of our center's founder, Dr. Jane Claypool. If all else fails, okay, the reading. Jesus believed in God's healing love, and he was God's channel through which healing came forth. Jesus believed in divine order, and he taught and lived according to God's laws. Jesus knew the power within himself and within every person. He demonstrated all that he taught, and he told us that we too could accomplish all that he accomplished and even more. He knew the power of God that guided and upheld him. He knew that he was loved. His teachings are as viable today as they were 2,000 years ago. His complete faith is our example to follow. Let us heed Jesus' words, so clearly and beautifully given and so wonderfully proven by the many evidential healings. Jesus' faith in God and the faith of the seeker brought forth these apparent miracles. Let us put faith in that God power within by following his word to make our own life joyous and fulfilled. And our affirmation for this week: I have faith as Jesus did. I am happy and fulfilled. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Martin. Do we have a solo? Solo from Richard.
I can do it. I can do it. All right. Here's a song from the show Stop the World. I Want to Get Off. I mean, it goes back a few decades. Leslie Recuse and Anthony Dooley. Anyway, he was a character. This is called Gonna Build a Mountain. And it's all about basically look within, find out who you are, do the work, and get on with it. Gonna build a mountain from a little hill. Gonna build a mountain, at least I hope I will. Gonna build a mountain, gonna make it high. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, I only know I'm gonna try. Oh, I'm gonna build a mountain from a little hope. Gonna push that daydream up the mountain slow. Gonna build a daydream, gonna see it through. Gonna build a mountain and a daydream, gonna make them both come true. Gonna build a heaven from a little hell. Gonna build me a heaven, and I know darn well, if I build my mountain with a lot of care, and take my daydream up the mountain, heaven will be waiting. Take my daydream up the mountain, heaven will be waiting.
Thank you, Richard. And this is our time for our Time to Thrive by Reverend Kate. So please join us up here, and I'll move my stuff out of the way. Thank you, Kate.
Are you worried about this? Okay, we love technology. I think there we go.
Well, we wanted to put on a show for you.
Go ahead.
When we just didn't know the technology was going to want to be part of it so much. For the microphone. Anyway. Well, good morning, everyone. It's really great to be here. My topic is Time to Thrive. And that's the truth. It is time to thrive. And right now, today, we are ready to plunge into our third talk based on spiritual economics by Eric Butterworth.
So it's third out of a series of 6. But before I do, I just want to ask each of you to just take one brief moment and quickly think about the past week. Was there anything that happened last week that you felt sad about or worried about? Was there anything about the past week that you felt really happy or elated about? So maybe a few ideas have popped up into your mind. So here's the next question. All those things that happened, where are those happenings now? Those happenings, those things that transpired used to be in your now moment, right? But now they're in your past. And your past, our past lives in our mind, in our thoughts. So those past events, along with your thoughts and feelings about those past moments, have actually had definite consequences that have helped you find your way here this morning, right? So they don't necessarily exist anymore, but the consequences are still perhaps being felt. So here we are, here and now, in this moment. Now, some things that happened in the past seem to really last a long time. For instance, maybe in the past you planted a tree in your front yard. Well, you're not still planting that tree, but the tree's still growing. Maybe you're watering it. Other things from the past just last a little while. Like perhaps you read a book and then you thought about the book. So it took a while to read the book, but it's over. But perhaps you still remember what you liked or didn't like about it. And other things are really fleeting. They're just like an instant. You know, like listening to a song. It's ephemeral. Or eating a cookie. It's very, very quick. All these things used to be in your present moment. They used to be in our day-to-day reality, but now most of our past is only living on in our mind or in our thoughts. You know, sometimes I make excuses for myself, but really sort of a joke, and I say that my mind feels like it's a room full of filing cabinets with all my memories and ideas and thoughts, but I can't remember where I put what I put in which drawer. Now, you also may have heard people talking about the halo effect. And this is the idea that as time goes on, memories get a little blurry, and generally speaking, the past can seem a little happier than it might have felt at that time. Not always. Sometimes traumatic events really stick with us. But what I would say is it's not just like a halo effect. Your song was so perfect, Richard. You talked about building a mountain. Because really, the journey of life is a little bit like climbing a mountain. And I think what happens is as time goes by, we get a better perspective on the past. So in the moment of now, it's so all-encompassing and it can be so overwhelming. But as time goes by, it's not just a halo effect, but we do gain a clearer or a wider view of what really happened and how much it actually mattered. Now, we never want to delude ourselves into thinking that things that really happened didn't really happen. So I want to say that because in New Thought, we're always saying, change your thinking, change your life. But we're not talking about deluding ourselves. What we're talking about is getting a clearer picture of what is really going on. So in teaching science of mind, when we talk about the power of positive thinking, we are not talking about denying that the conditions we find ourselves in at the moment don't actually exist, right? We're not trying to hypnotize ourselves into thinking that things are something else different than how they seem. No, we're talking about getting a new perspective, seeing a greater truth in what's going on about the conditions we find ourselves in. So I was watching a documentary and it brought to mind, I thought it was perfect. It was talking about the fact that astronomers, primitive astronomers, used to think that the sun circled the earth. They really thought that. But later, other astronomers discovered, no, the earth circles the sun. Nothing actually changed. The truth had been the truth all along, but the people discovered and learned more. They gained a new perspective on what was actually happening. And of course, we know that astronomers are still discovering more and more amazing things. And we can do that too. So when we talk about spiritual economics, when we talk about the ideas of prosperity and abundance, we're not doing anything except trying to increase our understanding of the truth. So in this case, the truth is that we live in a spiritual universe. And this spiritual universe provides the framework or the environment or setting, which is actually a milieu of infinite good and abundance. And in this, we live and have our being. In this, we experience life and we process it through our ability to think. So I want to be clear that when we're teaching and talking about abundance, we're not criticizing anyone's existing state of apparent prosperity. It doesn't matter whether someone seems rich or poor, or whether they seem overly materialistic or irresponsible. It doesn't matter, because what we're doing is we're focused on the underlying truth, and the underlying truth that we need to recognize is that there is enough, and we are enough. So you've heard the saying, give peace a chance. And we're saying, give prosperity a chance. So let's give peace and prosperity a chance now. So today I'm really going to cover 2 chapters in the book by Butterworth. One is called Work and the Success Syndrome, and one is called How to Reverse Financial Adversity. And I thought, oh, that'll be easy. I know all about that. I've worked a lot, and I've had a lot of financial adversity too, and I've overcome it. But actually, I just want to say that it wasn't so easy. I had to take a lot of breaks because, you know, I would think about, well, what am I going to say about adversity? And suddenly this file drawer back in my brain would open up, and I'd be like, oh no, not that again. You know? These memories were popping up, and they were not happy memories, despite, you know, the fact that I had gained a little more perspective. You know, they felt a little raw, but, you know, just like the earliest astronomers who got things wrong, we all get things wrong from time to time. And it's okay, as long as we don't get attached to our mistaken thinking. And Butterworth says that the most important part of learning something new is first to unlearn what was wrong, unlearn our errors, to be willing to let go of mistaken ways of looking at what's happening. So when it comes to ideas about work, and work of any kind, Butterworth says we need to stop thinking about work as something that we do in order to provide food, clothing, and shelter, even though that's true. He says work is not just about doing what is necessary for us to live. Work is actually about doing what is necessary in order for us to give. So think about it that way. It's through the giving of ourselves, through the giving of our time, our intelligence, whatever it is that we're giving. We give ourselves. It's through that we earn our living. We give of ourselves and we reap a reward. When you think of your work as an act of giving or as an act of service, you're actually building a consciousness of giving, which then automatically results in your receiving. It's just like, how do you get enough oxygen when you breathe? You can't just breathe in, you gotta breathe out. You know, it's by breathing out completely that we make room for more oxygen to reach us. And it's the giving involved in your work that makes way in a really in a transcendent way. It makes the pathway for you to receive your pay in whatever form it may come in. And this, it doesn't matter if you're a salesperson. And we all do know that salespeople who are service-driven do better. We know that for sure. Or a cook, or an electrician, or an entrepreneur, or a musician. It doesn't matter whether you are a volunteer. It doesn't matter whether you are taking care of your family or helping a neighbor. However you dedicate yourself to giving your time and talent, to serving, however you do it, you are actually in the act. As you increase the flow of abundance out into the world, you are at the very same time just naturally increasing the flow of abundance into your life. So when I first read the book by Catherine Ponder, The Laws of something or other prosperity, you know, her example was she was working with a woman who had nothing except a bunch of hungry kids. No money, no groceries, nothing in the house. And so what she did is she went out and she picked some flowers and gave them to a neighbor. You can, whatever, you know, it's not like you have to give a lot. You just have to give what you have to share. You start at the beginning, wherever you are. As you dedicate yourself to giving your time and talent to serving, you naturally increase the flow of abundance into your experience by the fact that you're getting in harmony with this universal expansion of good. It's always taking place at some level. And it happens. This happens when you unlearn the idea that you're simply bartering your time for money. So think of work as being an experience for your growth. And try to stay engaged, interested. You know, they say bloom where you're planted, right? You've heard that. But what about plant yourself where you're going to bloom too, right? I mean, that's wise, isn't it? Ralph Waldo Emerson said this. He said, no matter what your work, let it be your own. No matter what your occupation, let what you are doing be organic or part of you. Let it be in your bones. In this way, you will open the door by which the affluence of heaven and earth shall stream into you. And that's what Butterworth urges. He says, be true to ourselves, believe in ourselves. And he provides this affirmation, which I think is really good. It's really good. Although, you know, if you're not feeling, you might feel hesitant to say it. I am God's living enterprise and I cannot fail. What do you think? I am God's living enterprise and I cannot fail. So then he goes on, here's another thing to unlearn. The whole idea of success. He calls it the success syndrome. The fact is that success is not a contest. There actually is no race to be the richest person or the most successful person in life or even in your own family or in your community. There's only your personal journey and our shared journey to the greater good, to greater prosperity, and to greater love and happiness. It's a journey. You can race through it or you can walk through it, but you're still going to be on the same path. And I say this because when we look at success and we get this idealized idea about what is successful, is it the person in the three-piece suit with a big cigar, or is it, you know, the movie star on Oscar night? You get this idea, and then it can result in judgment. And it's interesting because some people will judge themselves as oh, I failed, I didn't really do what I could have done. And other people, or the same people, yeah, based on my own experience, I say it's the very same people, will also judge that other person who's standing up in the limelight and like, well, what the heck? They got all the lucky breaks, right? Why did they deserve that? So don't judge your worthiness or the worthiness of others by the expectations that other people have, or maybe some expectations that you may have picked up that don't necessarily belong to you. Don't just follow along with the crowd and get into this idea of a success syndrome where you feel like you've got to keep up with the Joneses. It's not only unnecessary, chasing goals that are not really your own can actually divert you, distract you from becoming aware of your own actual true desires and your own actual true goals. In fact, pushing yourself towards some external goal, you know, maybe your mom thought you should be a lawyer, whatever, you know, or your whatever. Somehow you got this idea in your head that you ought to be a certain way. And if you push towards that, strangely, even if you appear to be successful at it, it can cause a weird feeling of failure. And they call it the imposter syndrome, where people look around and they go, well, I have all this, but it's not really mine. I don't really belong here. I'm an imposter. And people do feel that way. Like, what am I doing here? You know, how did I get this nice car? You know, I should be on a farm. Maybe they should be on a farm. You know, we all have our own ideas. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being very wealthy. I'm all for it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being is someone who is not very wealthy. I'm all for that too. The point that I'm trying to make is that each of us is creating our own journey. And when that journey is something that feels comfortable and appropriate and feels like it's fulfilling what we want to do, that's true success. So we can just get confused about, what is our own success and what is our own prosperity. But sometimes we get a wake-up call. And, to be realistic, most of us have faced some kind of financial struggles or some kind of other struggles in the past. And I wouldn't be surprised if most of the people in this room are facing some kind of adversity right now. Because, we keep moving. This is not a static thing. We don't just get to Happy Land and stay there. We get to Happy Land, we take a breath, and then we're up, Let's go a little farther on that mountain. So it's possible that maybe you are experiencing an actual condition of lack or limitation or some kind of financial adversity or some issues with relationships or family or I don't know. So I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that is all in your mind. We live in an everyday world and things happen. The thing is that by using the principles of science of mind, what we can do is learn to navigate through these storms more easily, even though life is complicated. Despite that, we can steer our way through challenging situations more easily, and with the right perspective, we can take some joy in the challenge and have some optimism about where it is we're headed, what it is we're creating. So the fact is, you and I, each of us, all of us, we're all independent. We're all free to think whatever we want to think. We're all free to a great degree to make independent choices. But we're still interconnected, right? So we're interconnected, and some things in our life we are creating fully on our own. And some things in our lives, let's face it, the whole group is creating together. And this group in this room is creating something really happy and lovely and helpful this morning. Sometimes other groups are not always so joyous. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, so I just wanted to ask you to think about Jesus. And the reading today was talking about his life, how we could emulate his life and learn from him. But if you think about him, you could say he had a blessed life, that he followed an amazing path as a teacher and a healer, but even he was caught up in the march of history, right? So some people think, oh yeah, but it was all preordained and he chose it all. It doesn't matter if you think he chose it or he got swept up in what was going on in politics. I'm just saying that nobody's alone. We're together. We live together. We all are breathing the same air. We live together. But even though that's true, we're not helpless. Although we can't control everything that comes our way, we're always free to decide how we're going to react, what we're going to think about it. And that is bringing us to what Butterworth had to say about how to reverse financial adversity. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of great slogans about this practice of reversing or getting through financial adversity. One of my favorites is, if you're going through hell, keep going. Another one is, take it easy, one day at a time. When life hands you lemons, make lemonade. And keep the faith, baby. Now, when we're talking about prosperity, we are basically talking about money, although abundance comes in many forms. But, we're just going to narrow it down a little to finances when we think about it. But Butterworth has defined prosperity, whether it's about money or whether it's about the greater life abundance. He said prosperity is a way of thinking and feeling that actually generates our experiences. Prosperity thinking is generating a prosperous experience. Prosperity thinking, prosperity principles bring prosperity into our lives. And in a way you could say that the principles are constantly on duty, right? But everything is always changing so fast that sometimes, you don't know what's going on, or you feel so enveloped in the moment. So I want to share one small thing that Butterworth said that really struck me, because I had never thought about it before. And he said, in the Bible, you'll often read the little phrase, and it came to pass. Right, I've heard that. Christmas story, always there, and it came to pass, and the angels were flying around. And it came to pass. And so I always thought, and it came to pass, I was like, and then next, here's what happened next. But Butterworth says, oh, no. And it came to pass. Think about his meaning. And it came to pass. It came on its way out the door. It's just coming by. It's transitory. These things that are coming to pass they didn't come to stay. They came to pass. And I thought that was really good, a way to look at some of the things that seem like they've settled in when you begin, this too shall pass. And the fact is, even war, even hurricanes, even the loss of a job, even any type of misfortune really that you experience has come to pass. And we need to be aware that whatever it seems like, however much we feel stuck in a situation or a condition, we're navigating through life. It's like a riverboat, and you come upon a big log jam. It's a big obstacle, but it's not going to stay there forever. The tide will come, or you'll find a way around it. You're navigating. We need to learn to steer a course with skill so that we can avoid hitting as many of these log jams as possible. And when they're unavoidable, that we can use our spiritual skills, our truth skills, to actually begin reversing the adversity that we're confronted with. And what is true about managing financial adversity is also true for all types of adversity. Because if we're working with universal spiritual principles, they must work in all circumstances. And this is one reason why we say practice, 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 keep records, try it. Even our unexpected income program is a way to practice the principles. Does it matter if you stop and do a daily treatment or affirmative prayer, opening yourself up to unexpected income. Will you find unexpected income coming into your flow of life? We test things, we call it science of mind. Let's try it out and see what's true and what's not true. I recently was reading online some really old New Thought books. I was like, I would not recommend that one. I was like the astronomer who got a few things wrong. We're gaining more and more insight into what is true and what works as we practice these principles. Ernest Holmes talked about the teaching being open at the top, meaning that as we practice, we learn more good comes to us. So the main thing that Buddha says we really need to learn is just this idea that consciousness is the key to everything that happens to us in some way or another. It's the key to how we deal with everything that happens to us. The starting point in changing our lives from any reverse, including financial reverses, to an experience of abundance is to realize that we change our lives by changing our thoughts. So begin by taking responsibility for your own life. And this, I think, is really going against the grain of what's going on in the world at large right now. There's so much blame being put. People are just dividing themselves up into little groups and pointing fingers and saying, he's wrong, she's wrong, they're nuts, blah, blah, blah. I'm responsible for my own thoughts. I'm not responsible for their thoughts. As long as you see yourself as a victim of circumstances, it's hard to see the truth. The truth is that our present experience, even including the condition of our bank account, does reflect our present level of awareness, how we've managed to navigate to this point. But greater skills can be learned. I'm learning something every day. We don't have to feel like a victim of circumstances. We have to begin to feel like what the Zen master called having a beginner's mind. Yeah, the door is open. I'm here at the door. I'm opening the door. I'm ready to go through it to a new mindset, a positive mindset. I'm willing to be of service, to embrace my good, to give, and to say yes to receiving, because I recognize that life is fundamentally a growth experience. Missing the mark is just a way that we get better at finding the target. Failure is just a part of becoming successful. Nothing more, nothing less. True success begins when we are able to snap out of it. To do, as Ernest Holmes called it, to awaken to our spiritual magnificence. And we've got to do it now, in this moment. We can't do it in yesterday. And it's not ever going to actually be tomorrow, is it? Now is the moment in which we live. So let's just know that even adversity holds lessons for us. We want to learn to avoid it, but when we come across it, let's make it a learning experience. Get whatever good we can from it. So I'm going to end with a quote from Shakespeare that Butterworth used. I thought, oh, it's perfect. He said, "Sweet are the uses of adversity, which, like the toad, ugly and venomous, wears yet a precious jewel on its head. And this life, our life, exempt from public haunt, that is, in privacy, our life finds tongues in trees, books in running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything. So let's just remember the truth. Tell yourself, I am God's living enterprise and I cannot fail.
Thank you, Reverend King. Yes, I cannot fail. Well, this is another song from Richard.
We have another song.
Yes. Do you want us to sing along, or?
Well, you can, and you've probably heard this before. It's called Three Little Birds, but the chorus is, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. And that repeats one. In other words, let's take the pressure off, and let's enjoy the discovery process that occurs throughout our entire stay here on the planet. Thank you very much. So we'll start off with this. And you may recognize this. Oh, don't worry about the thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Repeat. Oh, don't worry about the thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Here's verse 1. Woke up this morning, smiled with the rising sun. Three little birds pitched by my doorstep, singing those sweet songs, the melody's pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Everybody, oh, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing, now here's a verse that I wrote, gonna be alright. Come look around us, we're here for each other. Three little birds sing of God's love, oh, sharing sweet songs, melodies pure and true, saying this is my message to you. One more time, singing don't worry about the thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Oh, 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 singing don't worry about the thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. One more verse. Problems and tensions will find their solutions. Give of yourself, you will be free, sharing your love. So come to the table, then you will see. Oh, sing don't worry about the thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Sing don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. 'Cause every little thing gonna be alright. 'Cause every little thing gonna be alright. We have a praise.
Thank you, Richard. And this is our time for conscious giving. And let's join in the song. And you have the words in your program. I am so blessed.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so
And I want to thank you all for your blessings to Carlsbad Center for Spiritual Living. And there are also other ways of giving. We have Venmo, Tidely, PayPal. Thank you. So this is our time for a closing treatment by Reverend Kate.
So when we do a treatment, because I'm always teaching treatment, right? When we do a treatment, we always start by knowing the reality that there is only spirit. And when we want to do a treatment in hopes of realizing a particular thing, when we recognize and we think about what spirit is, it's good to remember that spirit is not only everything, but also in particular that particular thing. So join with me now as we know together that this is a spiritual universe, a universe of all good, a universe of vast abundance, a universe that is unfolding and expanding in wonderful ways, a universe where there is enough for each and every person and each and every animal and each and every plant and each and every form of life. And for those things which seem almost to be alive but not alive in the way we are, the earth itself, the atmosphere, our stars, our universe itself, everything in expansion, everything is good. We know this is true because we know that there is nothing else except spirit. And therefore, since there is life, it must be goodness. So I call this spirit the all good. And I know that I and each and every person here are an individualized expression of this all good. We live in spirit. We have our being in spirit. We even think our thoughts in spirit, through spirit, with spirit, and as spirit. So knowing that this is true, in full faith and understanding, I see that I am a center of consciousness in creative consciousness. And in the sense of I amness, I declare and claim that there is great good and great prosperity and great abundance and great love and wonderful health now at hand for each and every person who is here today, and for all of their loved ones, for our community, and for this planet itself. I know that as we declare it, as we claim it, as we accept it, it opens up and blossoms in our lives. I know this is so. I give thanks that this is so. I rejoice that this is so. And I also know that nothing stands in the way. There are no true obstacles. And anything that seems like an obstacle is now dissolved from my thinking as I see, know, and rejoice in the truth that love and abundance are everywhere. I give thanks. I turn the spiritual mind treatment over to spirit itself, knowing that it is already done, and I invite you to close with me by saying, and so it is. So, if you want, you can all stand up, right? And we'll sing our closing song, then we'll have fellowship, and at 11:30 we'll be back in here.